Hey, this is Judah Mantel for SceneForge Studio, and in this video I'm going to go over an early version of SceneForge Server, which is a new product in the lineup. It's accessible within the SceneForge app, or it will be by the time hopefully future videos come out. And this video is going to be an informal overview of what is available now in this private beta. More things are to come. It's a very exciting development, and I'm super excited to show you. So let's jump right in. So this is SceneForge Server. It's a completely standalone mode of the application, and you'll notice that it does not have a 3D view. That's because the purpose of this mode is to basically handle all compositing using the same compositing tools that work really well in the main SceneForge application, but allow you to output it to any other software you want. So it takes the really great compositing, chroma key, and certainly the body tracking that doesn't exist elsewhere, and use it in Unity, Unreal Engine, Omniverse, whatever you want. So in the future, we're going to have SDKs available. It works out of the box with certain plugins with Unity and Unreal, which I'll go over in a future video. But if you're familiar with this stuff, you should be able to figure it out pretty easily. So to walk through this software, it's a very basic, easy, and friendly layer-based compositor. So we have our main source over here. I'm going to delete this other layer. We have our main source. And this essentially holds our either main video clip, or we can have a live camera if you want. Set this up here. I'm going to switch back to a video clip for this example, like that. That can all be controlled on the left. So I'm going to select a color here, and we can adjust all of our keying properties. This is exactly the same as in the main SceneForge app, so I'm not going to go over it now. We have our zoom and position over here. We can pan and look around our footage. We also have the view modes, which are super helpful to switch between different modes of what we're working with, which is very useful. And you can see this is our final output, so we have transparency around what we keyed out. So before I talk about the layers and kind of more advanced composites, let's talk about how we can get this outside of SceneForge Server. So at the bottom, there's an output panel over here. There's three options at the moment for Spout, NDI, or a special TCP IP system that's meant for this specifically. So we're going to have custom SDKs for engines in the future. But for Spout, you can see I have that set up. I named it SceneForge Server. And when I click Start Server, you'll see immediately in OBS, that's what I'm using to record this, I have a new layer. Obviously, it gets complicated with the echoing, but you can see I'm moving around my Spout footage as I'm running it. And it plays and it syncs up really well. That is over essentially through the graphics card directly, so it's super fast, but it's only local to your computer. But if you wanted to have a network video, which is super cool, we can use NDI. So I have an NDI Studio Monitor application running. You can see this is empty at the moment, and you can switch between different sources. But if I switch to NDI and I click Start Server, now I can go over here, right-click, and select SceneForge Server. And once it registers, we now have our footage. We can adjust any overlays if we want, adjust the background, and things like that. So it has all the alpha stuff and transparency that you can use to output anywhere else you want. So I'm going to stop the server now. And so that is just to use these keying tools, which is great and super useful. But if you want to add more complexity to your composite, you can add layers. So I have a button that says Add Layer over here. I'm kind of in front of it. And you can see I added a new layer above my main source. And it's completely covering it, so we can't see anything. So I can either move it below, or I could adjust the transparency, the opacity. I'm going to move it below for this example. We can rename it if you want. And you can switch the source type. So right now it's set to none, which is just a flat image, a flat white color. But if I switch to image, I can select an image file. I'm going to select this clean plate, essentially of the background. And now we have a composite of our footage with transparency above our image. You can adjust them as you want, change the opacity and everything that you'd expect from a Photoshop-like layer system. The things at the top are higher up in the stack, so keep that in mind. I can also switch to a video loop if I wanted to, so I can select this video of a different green screen footage and adjust it as I see fit. It's worth noting that these inputs do take transparency, but you're unable to key them out within SceneForge Server. So if you have other types of setups, you're going to want to do that outside of this app. This is really for the primary source. We also have Spout, which I can show now. You can see we can select a source. I don't have any Spout devices running at this time, but if you have one, you can select it, or you can select NDI input. And this is super cool. I'm going to open up my Test Patterns app, which allows me to create any new source I want. So I'm going to select these bars with the squares over here. And if I click refresh and open up my menu, you see we now have our test patterns. You can select that, takes a second to register, and now we have our NDI input. So what this is really great for is that if I have, let's say, a Unity application with a couple different cameras that have different objects in the foreground and background with clear flags set to transparent, I can then use SceneForge Server to put our footage, our live camera footage, properly within those two foreground and background layers. So we get proper depth if we have a tracked camera, for example. Now, all tracking and body tracking and things like that are coming in the future. So at the moment, this is really just a real-time compositor that's meant to be a universal application. All that other fun stuff is coming in the near future. And that's basically it in this current version. Again, there's so much more to come that I'm really excited about. If you want to get your hands on this early, you can reach out to me at judah@sceneforge.app or leave a comment and I can reach out to you privately if you're interested in trying it. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll reply. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is really exciting. There's so much more to come. I'll see you in the next video.